recapping my trip to Morocco, how I beat jet lag, and why the world is discovering ranch dressing, plus all of the eccentricities of the US. All that coming up right now on MTM Travel. The original intro got messed up, so we're heading right into the show. All these videos on the internet going viral about Europeans specifically, but everyone around the world discovering some of our eccentricities in the United States.
Yeah, it's been fun to see. And I mean, didn't they drink a whole town out of beer or something like that? I think it was Boston or up in that area in New England, and they ran out of it, which is crazy to think of. But it seems like everybody's having a good time, which is cool to see. And it's always fun when people come here, especially when they come in big groups like this, to see what they take away from our culture and how it's different and how excited they get. And I think people are always surprised with how welcoming and outgoing Americans are, and we hear that when we go to other countries, like that we're just willing to strike up a conversation with anyone, and that's not really the case anywhere else. So when you're fully immersed in that, it's even more apparent to people, and then they discover the greatest dip on earth, right?
Well, ranch dressing can be either the best or the worst. I mean, we all know that there's terrible versions of ranch dressing. And when you travel to Europe and other places, sometimes they will have a version of ranch on the shelves, which doesn't taste anything like the ranch here. But yeah, if you get that good garlicky ranch at a good pizza spot or something like that, homemade, there is almost nothing better.
Yeah, and I had a buddy that moved here from the Amsterdam area, lived here for like 10 years, and then just moved back home. And he said, I'm taking ranch with me. Like, I'm fully Midwestern now. I dip everything in ranch. And I never really thought about it that you don't see it that often in other countries. I know we did get some, I think the chain is like Apache Pizza in Dublin area or in Ireland. And they had a really good ranch dip. And that's kind of the only place that I can think of that I've ordered it. And it's just something when you're eating other places, you don't probably need ranch or think about ranch. But it's just funny that the TSA even had to put out a tweet, and maybe this was like tongue in cheek, or maybe it was serious, but they're like, don't bring big bottles of ranch in your carry-on bag. And they had to give warnings, and they're like, if they tell you to throw it away, don't drink it at the at the TSA. Well, you can go check your bag. It's just funny.
Yeah, we're exporting our calories all around the world. You know, you eat salad other places and it's somewhat healthy, but we found ways to add calories to everything. And then, as you say, to dip pizza. I want to see some videos of Italians. I have actually seen reaction videos from Italians on people dipping pizza in ranch. They don't particularly like it, but it's good and it's America. And, you know, it's funny because you see a lot of these videos being anti-American or, you know, how is America different in the past? A lot of them are negative, and here's all the same things, and people are just rejoicing in it. And it's good to see because we don't all need to be the same. And yes, the portion sizes are bigger. Yes, we get free refills. A little bit of indulgence here for sure.
Oh yeah, that's another one. The free refills. It always freaks them out or blows their mind. It's fun to see.
Yeah, for sure. It was Father's Day weekend. I had a low key sort of weekend. How did your weekend go?
Yeah, we had a really good weekend. We were up at the cottage, had some friends come and visit on Saturday, and they brought some e-bikes that they just bought. So that was the kids' first time riding e-bikes. And of course, now they want some of these like $1,000 bikes or however much they cost, 1,500. I don't know, it gets kind of crazy, but I will say they are legit fun. They go up to like 20, 30 miles an hour. I think if you get them on the right plane or going down a hill, you can get up to 40 miles an hour, which is kind of freaky, but it's almost like a dirt bike, but an e-bike, and you can pedal in an assist, or you just hit the gas, I guess, for lack of a better word, and it goes. So we did that on Saturday, and then Sunday we went out to eat at Pizza Hut Classic because where else would I want to be on Father's Day than 90s nostalgia? So we got to do that, and then hit one of my favorite bars in that area. It's called Alley Bar in Port Sanilac, and it's kind of like somebody had a thrift shop or went to garage sales and found all the junk and then threw it outside into this like alley, and it's just fun, and there's music going on. So I have some video for you to throw up on the screen there. But it was just a really good time, and love that there was live music during the day for Father's Day. And I wanted to say thank you to you, Shawn, for being a great father. Thank you to all the fathers out there for listening. You play an important role in these kids' lives. You know, you give them a different perspective than mothers. not better, not just different. And yeah, we should celebrate that more. Mothers get a lot of love as they deserve, and fathers need some love too. So thank you to all the people out there that are great fathers.
Yeah, and for all of the great dad jokes, Mark, got to thank you for all of those great dad jokes over the years. He's not looking, but I have my dad jokes shirt on. Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about my Father's Day, a weird year for me, but everything you said is absolutely correct. And sometimes fathers aren't celebrated in the way that they should be. This isn't to take anything away from mothers, but we all play a role here. And being a father is pretty cool, especially when you can find an e-bike that goes 40 miles an hour. That's when dads shine.
Yeah. My daughter's like, I have like a couple $100 I can throw in towards it. I'm like, no, we are not getting an e-bike. Maybe when if they come down to like $300 in 10 years, you won't want one anymore. But man, those things are wild.
They should be illegal. They should be pedal. I'm getting on my high horse here, but anytime I see a teenage boy riding around on one of these, they're absolutely dangerous. The pedal assist is good, but we don't need the ones that have a motor. It's not good for kids. The little boys don't know how to handle such a machine.
Yeah, that's true. And I wonder, like, could you imagine getting a DUI on an e-bike?
As a 13-year-old.
Like you think, I don't know if that's the case, but you think you're doing the right thing and then you get pulled over anyway. Oh man.
So let's talk travel a little bit, Mark. I've been teasing my whole jet lag hack and Morocco and all of that sort of stuff, but I finally got to Casablanca, which for people, you probably know what this means, right? Casablanca means White House, and that's Portuguese. And it's sort of a city that looms over all of us, right? Because of the movie. We've always heard of this our whole lives, one of the more classic movies. And of course, it was not filmed one bit in Morocco.
Yeah, that is funny. And I love Portuguese because the other place that speaks Portuguese is Brazil, and it's funny how you say like Casablanca, White House, and that's Spanish. Like you can kind of come up with it from that. But it was funny when we were in Brazil and my buddy was trying to order white wine. He's like Vino Blanco, and she's like, "What? I don't know what you're saying." And Vino Blanco. No, and like just the slight differences, but it sounds probably like a southern dialect to us. It sounded completely different. And she goes, and he points to it on the menu. She goes, "Oh, Vino Blanca," or however they say it. It was like, isn't that the same thing?
It's wild if you know a little bit of Spanish and you look at Portuguese written, you can almost deduce every single word written. But when you hear it, it is so different. I think in Portuguese it would be Casablanca, and then in Spanish, Casablanca, which is the way we all say it here. So I don't know, but it's very famous for, World War II. There was a huge summit there with President Roosevelt. And I guess the story that was told to me was it was originally supposed to be in the White House in DC, and then that leaked, and then they moved it to Casablanca so it could still be in the White House. That feels a little bit too smooth of a story for me, but it is a beautiful city right on the ocean. And a lot of people might not know that. And there's areas that they call like Beverly Hills where I saw just insane amounts of wealth, and it felt like you were in the US. And then you have like the old city, which feels very sort of Middle Eastern, I guess, or that sort of vibe that you would expect in Morocco. But yeah, I had a great time. My favorite thing, we did a tour and we just randomly were driving by this wealthy country club, and the guy's like, "Oh, there's a golf course. This is where a lot of wealthy people live. They also have a horse racing track in there." He's like, "Do you want to pull inside?" So we pulled inside, saw a horse race inside a country club in Casablanca.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. I figured when you were telling the story that you're going to say like only people that live in there can go to the horse races. And I'm like, that wouldn't be too fun. So it's cool that you guys got to check it out. Now it's on the ocean. Is there much of like a beach type of setup there, or is it rocky? Is there, if people like to go lounge at the beach, is this a potential place for them or not really?
So I stayed at the Hyatt Regency, which is sort of right next to the old Medina, which is the old city, more of the heart of the action. But the coastline is maybe 10 or 15 minutes away from there. And there's an entire Corniche, which is like a boardwalk along the ocean. Tons of private beaches and public beaches. So there's like beach clubs where you can rent stuff. And then there's also public beaches for everybody. On one day, we went out to the amusement park there, which is like, I think, Sindibad World. And it has one coaster, which was fine. It had a zoo, which was kind of sad. But that's also located next to the largest mall in Africa, the Mall of Morocco, and got to check that out as well. I'm pretty sure that Las Vegas has at least one or two malls that are bigger than this. So I guess Africa doesn't have a lot of huge malls, but it was cool to check that one off the list as well.
Well, malls are dying a bit if they're not like the luxurious malls. So maybe it's best that they don't have a massive mall these days. So Less than the fun spot then, I'm guessing, if you're the way that you're explaining this amusement park there.
Yeah, the entrance was really cool. It had, the characters there, and it's themed around Sinbad and his adventures, but it's mostly just sort of off the shelf rides. It looked like it had seen better days. The zoo was utterly depressing. I'm not a big fan of zoos these days. It just doesn't give me the best feelings. So we kind of avoided that for the most part. But it's always a nice little look into local culture when you go to an amusement park. I've been doing this forever in countries all around the world. And if you have kids, it's a great way to get a little bit of a break, but you're surrounded by the locals, and it's always a lot of fun.
Do they smoke like in Disneyland Paris there?
Yes, Morocco is a very smoking friendly country, I would say. Smoking everywhere, ashtrays in the middle of the amusement park for sure, ashtrays everywhere. Not as many cigarette butts everywhere. It seems like they are a little cleaner than say Istanbul. But yeah, smoking's still a big part of culture in a lot of these countries.
Yeah, so how did we talked about on the previous episode how your wife and kid were out riding horses on the beach or whatever while we were recording. Did they really love that experience? Are you jealous that you didn't get to do it?
Yeah, unfortunately, I had to work a little bit while we were there. We recorded some shows. So I booked a couple of excursions through Chase Travel, utilizing my ultimate rewards at 1.5 cents each, which are grandfathered in because of my Sapphire Reserve. So one of them was that riding a horse at sun. It was supposed to be at sunset on the beach, but the way the timing worked out and being summer, they were done before the sunset, but they really enjoyed it getting to ride horses on the beach. Said the facilities weren't like the nicest, but basically there's like a tour company, and this is all goes through Viator when you book through Chase, and then the tour company arranges that. So they had a driver, very safe, enjoyed it, and Ellie absolutely loved doing the beach. And then the next day, used the same company to do a full tour of Casablanca to kind of see the major sites. Got to see the Notre Dame Cathedral, which is like this 1950s concrete building, which is totally kind of nondescript, or I don't know, it doesn't feel like a grand church on the outside. And then you go inside and the entire walls are covered in stained glass, unlike anything I've ever seen. That was incredible. The new city, which is a lot of French inspiration there, was fun to see. Of course, the Hassan II Mosque is the sort of glorious centerpiece of the city. I think it was built about 100 years ago, so it's relatively new, and it is incredible. From the outside, we had a view from our hotel room, and it didn't look all that crazy. And then you get there, even being in the courtyard before you go inside, you're like, wow. And it's right on the ocean, has a tower that I think is like the largest religious tower in the entire world. The materials used are like second to none. All the doors are made of titanium because of the ocean and stuff like that. I've been in quite a few mosques, quite a few churches. This one stands above many, and it's an incredible building. So very happy to have seen that. Had a great tour guide. He took us all around, showed us the stuff, made that impromptu stop at horse racing, down by the beach, all that good stuff. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite city in the world. I don't know what I was expecting. I was kind of tired at the end of this long trip. Still had to work, but absolutely enjoyed it. I liked the culture. The people were friendly, felt safe walking around, felt more modern than I would have expected. So all of that's a win. Still want to go to Marrakesh, so probably we'll do that at some point.
Yeah, I like that they have a bit of the old and a bit of the new, and it sounds like where you were staying, one side was old, one side was new, so you could get to both fairly easily. So you get to see a kind of a look back and then futuristic or the now time of things. So I love when cities offer that up where you can see a bit of more than just the same old thing over and over again. So that's cool to hear, and that they have churches and mosques. And you said it's very like a melting pot of religions and ethnicities and all of that. So that kind of like a New York or something like that back home. So that's interesting to hear. Not something that I think many people would expect.
Yeah, and you see all different flavors of the religion. You see hijabs, but you see women that are uncovered. There's a decent Jewish population there, a Christian population. I asked the driver about sort of how religion works there. He said there's two rules in Morocco. You don't ask people how much money they make, and you don't ask them about their religion. And that's how they all get along. So it was nice to see that. Yeah, lots of interesting buildings there. I stayed at the Hyatt Regency Casablanca, which opened in the early 70s as the Hotel Casablanca. So it's a very historic sort of hotel right outside the old city. And I would say it's probably getting a little dated at this point, but it's very Moroccan themed. Like when you eat breakfast, you're in this grand Moroccan dome. I found the staff to be very good. It's supposedly a 5-star hotel, and they treat it very much like that. It's a little weird. You got metal detectors to get in. It's gated off from the rest of the city. So, you're kind of inside there, but no complaints about the staff. Room was a little bit, not to my taste, a little bit dated there, but you kind of get the feeling that this was the grand hotel of yesteryear. There's a Four Seasons. There's other 5-star brands coming into the city now. So maybe it's not as prestigious a hotel as it once was, but it was really neat. They had all the World Cup stuff starting. Morocco, very, very big into the World Cup and soccer. And as we left on our last night, the entire city was out, including at the hotel, watch parties, all of that for the first Morocco game. So it's always neat to get that little taste of culture too.
I remember that when we were in Italy, the World Cup was going on, and it was just, and they don't have like sports bars or anything there. So that's an interesting thing. In the US, like every bar has a TV, and they don't really have that in Europe for the most part. I mean, they do have some here and there, but they were just setting up small TVs, like 30-inch, 24-inch, 32-inch, something like that size outside of the bars. And then everybody would just stand outside, bring their beers outside, and would sit there and watch these games, which I found so interesting. And that's kind of what we talked about at the beginning of the show, like witnessing the differences in cultures. And that's what's fun when you go places. So it's cool to see everybody be invested. And of course, everybody loves football or soccer throughout the world, more so than here at home for the most part. But it's just interesting to see how they congregate to watch things like that compared to how we do it in the US.
Yeah, it's the big thing. The entire country came to a stop, and the game started at 11 p.m. and we had to head to the airport at like 1:30 a.m. for our flight. And that's right when the game ended. And you would not believe how many people were out on the streets of Casablanca. Now they tied, and our driver was saying had they won, it would have been impossible to like navigate the streets to get out. So I don't know. I was a little happy that they didn't win. We didn't want to miss our flight. A couple other things, like the markets there are very cool. There's very, old school bazaar type shopping. My wife and daughter love that. I didn't go with them. I didn't want to subject myself to that, but they spent hours walking through. You're expected to negotiate at least a half price of what they're saying it is, sometimes less, but negotiating is part of the culture there. But yeah, my daughter really enjoyed that part of it as well. And just overall, I think it was a good way to end the trip. And, that hotel, I would say I'd recommend it if you're into Hyatt. It's not the best hotel in the world. Service, I have no complaints about the service at all. We had a suite. It was fine. Mark made fun of the door, saying it looked like an air conditioning vent. But other than that, I'd say it was a decent stay there. And it's a little bit of a stuffy hotel if you look at the other clients around. That's kind of my only complaint.
Okay, well, let's get into the flight home, because I'll be flying to Morocco on my way to Lisbon in a couple months. So I'm curious to hear. I mean, you gave me a brief overlay off the air last week, and it doesn't sound so promising for me.
Well, I've read a little bit about this airline. I knew what the seats are. They're pretty standard reverse herringbone, similar to what you see with AA, many other carriers. So a pretty decent lie flat seat and hard product there. And I had heard mixed things about the service. I want to just start by saying my goal was to utilize as little of the service as possible getting onto this flight. So kind of going back, I see this weird video a couple weeks ago from Dana White talking about how he beats jet lag. Now, of course, Dana White is flying on private jets, so I don't know that this applies to everybody, but specifically he says drink a lot of water. I think nitric water is what he was saying, and then to not eat during the flight, basically reset your metabolism and your eating to the new time zone that you're going to. And with a 4 a.m. departure and the way that the timing of this worked out, my goal was to get on the plane, go to sleep, not eat. And I stopped eating at 5 p.m. the night before and see if the not eating thing helped me with jet lag. So trying to sleep on the bed and doing that. And I got onto the plane, went right to sleep. And I probably slept 6 hours over the first 8 or 9 hours of the flight. And we'll talk about how it was in the end there. But I did wake up about mid-flight with a giant headache, feeling dehydrated, and some air sickness crept in. So I wasn't all perfect, Mark. There's nothing worse than having to go to the airplane bathroom to do that. I was so excited to tell Mark this story and to say I beat jet lag, and then I was like, crap, now it's not perfect. Now I have to tell him that I did it. So, I mean, my theory is to this. So I get home, Mark. So the flight leaves at 4 a.m. and I eat about 9 hours into the flight. So it's a 12-hour flight. So it's about 3 hours to go. So I went about 20 hours, I think, without eating total before that. Only drink water, nothing else, no other caffeine, no nothing. I sleep as much as I can. We land in LA at 8:15 a.m. So I'm eating about 5 in the morning. So basically I'm telling my body that now is morning time. And this is the theory. Will this all work? Well, I land in LA at 8 o'clock feeling like it's the morning. I go through the whole day. We had a drive, which we've talked about on the Vegas show, drive back to Vegas from LA. I go to bed at like 10 o'clock that night, wake up at 5 the next morning, and I had no jet lag, not a single bit of jet lag. My body was completely on the new time. So I think with the 4 a.m. flight, this was sort of unique in being able to do that. It's going to require more investigation for other flights and other flight timings, but I'm all sold. I would give up eating, service, everything else. But to your point, my wife did get the service, and she's not one to complain about it and said that her flight attendant was like the rudest that she's ever had. Mine kind of was a little passive aggressive. Like I ordered a Coke Zero at one point. This is late in the flight. So the first 9 hours, don't talk to the flight attendants. I don't do anything, don't require any service. I asked for a Coke Zero, and she brings me like a warm can of Coke Zero. And I said, can I get some ice? And it took her 20 minutes to bring the ice. It was just that sort of like aggressive service. I don't know. I didn't care. It was more comfortable than sitting in economy, 57.5 AA miles for a 12-hour flight. I mean, you can't beat that. So I guess if you were really worried about the service, it wouldn't have been great. And to point out, my wife and I had different flight attendants. So hers, she said mine was an angel in comparison to hers. So I don't know.
Now, did she comment on the food or any of that? Was that decent or not the best?
So the meal that I missed when we got on board was like a breakfast. It was like an omelet. She didn't take any pictures of it, but she said it wasn't very good. And then the main meal before we landed, which is sort of weird, they were serving dinner a few hours before landing, and we're landing at 8 a.m. in LA. But either way, I got like this sea bass, which I didn't take a picture of, which was terrible. She got the chicken, she said wasn't very good. So overall, the food wasn't all that great. If you're looking for booze, the selection was like 5 things, 1 beer, 1 of each kind of liquor. So it was a much less of a alcohol selection compared to many other airlines. And yeah, it's just Moroccan food. I don't know, is not my favorite after being there. I know a lot of people love Moroccan food. It's okay. Yeah, it just didn't feel like high quality stuff. Now that's catered out of Casablanca. So if you're going there, maybe you get a little bit different on the catering. But all that to say, I mean, if I can get a lie flat bed and go to sleep, this is my new thing, is sleep as much as possible. I've heard a lot of people talk about that, and I've always struggled to sleep. But for me, I have to basically dedicate my entire flight to doing that. Like no watching TV, no nothing. I have to have headphones in, an eye mask on, and I just have to lay there in and out of consciousness. But I did it, and not having to pay a week coming back and just feeling like crap, totally worth it.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing everybody says is to eat and then go to sleep, and that's kind of how these flights usually work. Like you get on an hour in, they serve you the food, you eat, then you maybe watch a little bit of TV and then pass out. So, and you're not getting up and moving around after you're eating. So I think I could see some credence here, and it makes a lot of sense to me. It's just a lot of people want to take advantage of all the things when you're on a flight. So I don't know that everybody will do it, but I think it's maybe better on the way home. On the way out, you're already kind of on that time. So I don't mind as much. Like you're usually doing a evening flight, and you can eat a little bit and then go to bed somewhat normal time. And yeah, you're not going to be fully adjusted to the time when you land, but at least you're still somewhat on a regular clock where you've adjusted. Now you're trying to adjust back. I think it's different coming home. I think that this makes a lot more sense on that flight. And then do you just think you didn't drink enough water? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I'm guessing the combination of my stomach being so empty, and I did try to drink enough water. So I think I'm going to get like hydration packets and bring those and try those next time to get my more electrolytes. I mean, my only argument, and honestly, I'm coming from somewhere of privilege, right? I've flown business class on, I don't know how many airlines, but a lot, more than I can count on a couple of hands. And I'm not bragging about that. It's just not as special or new an experience to me. And so for me, I've been suffering so badly from jet lag that the ability to get somewhere feeling good without having to deal with that. And I deal with it on the way out too. So I don't know. We'll see how it is, but I would give up. I don't drink booze anymore, so that doesn't do it for me. The plane food, come on. I mean, even the best meal I've ever had on a plane doesn't even compare to the best meals down on the ground. So I don't know. The experience of getting a decent amount of sleep, I think, is the premium that I'm paying at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you to a point, but it's still fun when it's a new airline that you haven't done before. I can see why people are excited and should try what they have to offer. It doesn't sound like they had a ton in terms of like liquor and stuff. And I mentioned that on our Aer Lingus flight on the way home, they had way less available than they used to, or at least on the larger planes when I flew them. I don't know, like 10 years earlier. So maybe that's something we're seeing them cut back on more and more, or maybe it's just the more premium products offer these things where the more basic business class doesn't quite go as deep. But I would have been sad on Turkish if I didn't try the world's best bread, and that's what it was called, and it was pretty dang close to the best bread.
Well, I will do that if I'm on Turkish. I'll take some to go. I will say, and I was talking to my wife about this, if I was to book international first class, then I would probably set it up to enjoy that experience. I've enjoyed every time I've flown first class, and I like the caviar service and all that sort of weird stuff that goes into it. And I think that it just depends on what you want. And if you don't suffer from jet lag or you want it, I think that's great. But I never thought that Dana White would be the one to help me solve this. And I still got more to do, figure all this out. But like I said, I'd rather give up eating for 16 hours and arrive there. And I don't know, it's just like miracle. It was a miracle because I just felt like getting off that plane in LA, like I had just woken up in the morning, and I don't quite know how all that worked, but it was fantastic. And a shout out to the new global entry machines, Mark, because these new global entry machines, I think that we've had 3 or 4 different versions over the last few years. When you get in front of it, it doesn't even take a split second to see half your face before it already identifies who you are, meaning you're getting into the country faster than ever. You can't beat that.
Yeah, it's cool to see like technology continue to improve. And another thing that we've noticed over the last couple of years is with passport renewals going online, how much faster it is to get it done. It's just easier, and then they're shipping them out within a couple of weeks. So it's good to see the government finally lean into the 2026.
When it comes to tracking you, Mark, they love all that. They'll lean right into the technology. But yeah, it's cool because back in the day, it would take some time. The original versions of those machines, I was told by a little birdie that they weren't actually doing real facial recognition in the way that these new machines are doing. It was sort of a de facto comparing the picture on your passport to you, but it wasn't doing anything in any database or whatever. I don't know. These new machines are good. And it is nice to go home when you're traveling country to country. You have to wait in all those passport lines. When you get home and you can just walk right in, always a nice thing.
Yeah, that's the best part of coming home. You know where to go, what to do, and how to get through there quickly.
So let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today. Jet lag. Do you have your own hack? Do you think giving up food and all that stuff on a business class flight is dumb? Like you want the whole experience? Casablanca, Morocco, and ranch dressing. Do you think that that is our greatest export to the world? Let us know down below. We do 2 shows a week, and we'll be back on Thursday with miles and point stories, all that good stuff. Mark is going back to writing all his Amazon Prime Day deals as we record this. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Yeah, if you're shopping on Amazon today and you'd like to support us, you can use our links on the website. And thank you to all that do. Hope everybody has a great week. And you got to try Jets Ranch. I know you have a Jets now near you, Shawn. There's some of the better ranch right there.
I hope it's better than the pizza. Talk to you guys next time.
Oh, dang.
The captain has turned on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelt.